back to the channel. And today we're fishing at Slapton Sands in South Devon, which is a new venue for me, not fished here before. I think it's about the 18th venue I fished on the channel in my 51st video, so hopefully a little bit of variety, get around a little bit. I'll try to get around a little bit. It's Monday the the 12th of February. It's probably the best day of the week this week for fishing. It's nice and bright, it's about 10 degrees. And we're pretty much at low tide, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we've got a 2 o'clock low tide and we've got a 8 o'clock high tide. And it is a very, very big tide. They're about 13.5, 14 metres in the Bristol Channel. And here at Slapton, we've got like a 0.5 metre low and a 5.2 or 3 metre high. So we've got almost 5 metres of elevation change. But as I say, in the Bristol Channel, it's like 13.5 metres. So big tide. Just fishing 2 rods at the moment. I've got a sort of size 1 pulley pennel with lug and squid. I've also got ragworm. I got the baits, fresh baits, ragworm and squid from, ragworm and lugworm from Real Fun Fishing in Portishead on the way down. I got some frozen squid, frozen mackerel and a little bit of anchovy. So I got a fishing size 1 pulley pennel. I'm also fishing size 1 loop rig. So that's like 1 up above the weight, 1 below the weight in terms of the rig. And I'm just mixing up baits really, rag, squid, mackerel. And I'm also fishing a 2-up clipped rig as well, interchanging that amongst the rigs. And if I get a chance, because baits are being stripped pretty much within 25 minutes at the moment, I might put a 3rd rod out with a bigger bait and see if I can leave that out. And hopefully not have to touch that for a while, but obviously it looks like crabs. I haven't seen any bites or anything as such, so it must be small things nibbling away at the baits, taking the lure of the baits straight off. It's mainly sand and shingle beach here, not fished here before, as I said. Looking to the south, down towards Torcross, and there in the distance you've got Start Point with the, I think the lighthouse there. And as we pan round, obviously a big bay here, Start Bay, up towards Dartmouth, I think, up that way. But it's obviously a very, very big beach, quite steep shelving, and I think we're going to be pretty much at the top when the tide comes in later on. Car parking. There's a car park here. I'm fishing at the Slapton end, so I've come through the village of Slapton. That'll be a nightmare in the summer. It's the first time we've come through that village. It's very narrow streets, a bit of a nightmare, a few 90-degree bends. So I've parked at the Slapton end in the car parks. I've paid about £6 for 9 hours. Just a word of warning, at the moment there's a height restriction into the car park, so they've got a barrier across at 1.9 metres, so I can't get my van in because that's 2 metres, but they open a gate at the side, but the car park shuts at 10 o'clock, so I'm assuming the gate closes at 10 tonight, and you can't get out if you stay in. So the parking meter only tells you can pay until 10 o'clock in the evening. So just be mindful of that. And obviously there are car parks down at the bottom end towards the Torcross, but as I say, won't get down there today. It's very windy. I got a winds off my back, sort of probably a 50-mile-an-hour westerly straight off the back, so it flattens the sea off. I'll see if I can get the drone up later on. There are a few issues with the drone flying here, but I'll talk about that later. But there's a lot of people wandering around, a lot of dog walkers on the beach, so got to be very, very careful if you're flying a drone with people in proximity. So I'm going to give it a miss at the moment. The car park, as I say, I haven't walked far, I've been really lazy because I don't really know anything about this beach, so I've parked in the car park. I've walked about 100 yards to get away from most of the people. A couple of people have just joined and fishing to my right hand side, and there was a chap fishing to my left hand side when I came. So sea conditions, as I say, flat calm, ambient is about 10 degrees, The wind is just forecasted to stay westerly, so off and back, so that's okay. I've got my bivvy. You can put your bivvy up here, but I'm going to wait until the tide comes in a bit more, and when I move up to the top of the bank, so I've got a bit of a shelter from the wind, because it's going to be more prominent up there because you're near the top of the bank. One of the problems you have when you use Gemini leads on the beach is that when the wires clip out, sand gets in the grooves, and you can't easily get the wires back in unless you fiddle with a, I don't know, a baiting needle or something. So what I do is I have just a bucket of water, and I just waggle the lead in the bucket of water, wash all the sand off, and that's gets the sand out of the wire slots, and you're able to grip up nice and quickly. As I said earlier on, it's a popular beach. Yeah, it's half-term week, Monday of half-term week, so there's a lot of people out and about. So you just have to be mindful with dogs and walkers and general public about what you do and how you leave your baits out and stuff like that if there are dogs around. So you just have to pay close attention to that, particularly on a lovely day like today. And apologies for the croaky voice. Got a stonking sore throat and cough, so I sound a bit rough. Obviously there are some Civil Aviation Authority regulations that you have to comply with when you're using a drone, and that's in terms of maximum height, for example. So you can't take your drone above 120 meters or 400 feet. You always have to have it in visual line of sight, and lots of other rules and little guidance notes as well. And one of the other things that you have to be careful of is where you actually fly your drone, and whether the landowners give permission, or whether you're actually in a regulated airspace, for example. So an app I use is called Drone Assist, and when you go on the app, obviously it has a GPS, and it'll tell you where you are. So here you are, it's sort of pointing out where I am, and actually there's a highlighted area, and it tells me that I'm in an SSI, or a Site of Scientific Special Interest, I think that stands for. And then it basically means that you obviously then have to look at the guidance for that SSI to see whether or not you're able to use your drone. And the beauty of this app is that it's able to give you a link to the SSSI. So here's the link to the Slapton Lee SSSI, and then I'm able to look at operations requiring Natural England's consent. So in there then there is a consent document, basically that details all the regulations linked to the SSSI. So for example, you're not allowed to plough it or dig it. You know, this is the area behind, but it also includes the beach. And I can't see anything in here, but there's, there's, you know, you can't extract the sand, take away the soil and all that sort of stuff, the usual sort of things you'd expect. And there's 28 guidance notes on there that basically tell you what you can and shouldn't be doing. It doesn't say about drones, but as I said earlier, one of the things you've got to be careful with is that you've obviously got proximity to people, lots of people on the beach at the moment, and also you've got a main road just behind the top of this bank here. There's a main road, so I might get the drone out later on, so don't take it for granted just because you have a drone. You can fly it anywhere where you think you're safe to do so. You've got to check that you're not in a regulated area, whether it be for issues on the land, whether that be nesting birds or whatever, or for in the flight path. And it's quite interesting when you look at Chesil Beach, for example, a lot of restricted airspace down at Chesil Beach. So as an example, here's part of Chesil Beach. It's red, which basically says red zones are regulated high risk areas, and operation of your drone may be hazardous or prohibited, and then you've got to go and look at what you can and can't do. So it's quite an eye-opener. I've had a drone now for a few months, and it's quite an eye-opener when you look at particularly these apps, you know, Drone Assist, or another one is Altitude Angel. I thoroughly recommend, if you use a drone and you don't use those apps, use those apps. They're very, very helpful so that you don't get into trouble. So when I was looking for sort of YouTube videos for Slapton and places like that, I didn't really find a lot. So it's a little bit of a voyage of discovery today. We're about an hour after low tide. Baits aren't lasting more than 20 minutes at the moment, so I'm going to put a couple of pop-ups, a rig on with a couple of pop-ups on, so try and keep the baits up a little bit off the bottom. So a little 2-hook clip rig with pop-ups. No bites as such or anything like that. So in terms of species, I mean, obviously I suppose most places are pretty quiet, although I was watching a video over towards Hastings way, Kent, on the beaches there, and they were having fantastic sport with dabs and flatfish. So thinking there might be an early flatfish here. We'll see. A whiting, maybe pouting, but most likely we might get a little bit more action when it gets dark. So just nice to be out. As I say, the forecast looks progressively worse this week, so today was the best day to get out, and I can't make it out next week because I've got other things on. So yeah, it'll be my last video for a couple of weeks. Hopefully I can catch something for camera. We'll see. Haven't seen anybody else bring anything in yet, so early days. Must remember to leave the car park by 10 o'clock though, otherwise I'm going to be locked in. Well, as I said, going to fish some pop-up baits. So here's a 2-hook clip rig, a couple of nice bright pop-ups there, which obviously add buoyancy to the bait and try to keep it off the bottom. It's on a snood that's about 12 inches, so that's a little bit of mackerel. And then a couple of smaller pop-ups further up the trace on the top of the 2-hook with a little bit of rag and squid. And I say that's about a 12-inch snood as well. So bigger pop-ups on the bottom, nearer the weight, and smaller pop-ups further up the trace. Anyway, let's get that one out and let's see how that one goes. say, is a 2-hook clip rig. So I'm fishing no more than 170 grams of lead today. It's perfectly fine even in the strong pull. I use my own homemade Gemini weights. I've got a splashdown, Gemini splashdown, and then a link swivel, and then I got a 100-pound rig body, and then this is a 2-hook clip rig. And generally what I do, untangle that, is I don't use crimps, or sometimes I might use overhand knots in a heavy line, but I tend to use power gun stop knots. So you've got a power gun stop knot, a bead, I've got a spring there that obviously you can put tension onto when you clip it up, a bead, and then a cascade swivel, another bead, and then it's trapped on the top by another power gun knot. And then obviously I've got my trace there, which is just 30-pound amnesia, and then the same for the hook near the top, power gun stop knot, bead, spring, bead, and then obviously a conventional swivel because there's nothing to clip in onto that one, and bead and stop knot, and then I have a swivel on the top. And then I'll show you what happens when you clip it up ready for casting so that it doesn't flap around. So the bottom hook clips into the splashdown, and then you must have your cascade swivel orientated correctly such that it points the loop down towards the bottom hook, and then the top snood clips into the cascade swivel there, and you end up with a nice streamlined rig for casting. So there's plenty of videos on YouTube about clipped rigs, but as I say, instead of using crimps, which you often see, I use stop knots. And the beauty is that if you have to cut a hook off, you're able to, instead of replacing the snood and all your little stop beads or whatever, you can actually just adjust your power gun stop knots height-wise to slide it up and down the trace such that you can accommodate a shorter hook length. Hope that makes sense. I know it's only one time, but here's the pop-up bait that was out for half an hour. Basically untouched on the top, untouched on the bottom. Then does that count as a catch? I've got a little shellfish clamped onto the wire of my grip lead. So not sure what shellfish that is. Semi-blank beaten maybe, I don't know. But anyway, the pop-ups there appear to have worked okay. I've just cast one out now without pop-ups. So the expectation being that will get stripped. So it's probably, might be shrimps or little crabs or whatever. Certainly when you have the pop-ups, it takes the bait up off the bottom and they can't get at it so easily. Anyway, keep going. So with my worm baits, always using a baiting needle to put the worms onto. So the baiting needle has a blunt end where you thread the worms onto, and then it has an end with a little sort of concave end where you can get the tip of your hook in. So you put your tip of your hook in, and then you're able to bring your worms around easily onto your trace. So I'm going to put another one on there, and that's on the pop-up rig. So particularly with blow lug, because they're just full of water really, if you just try to thread them on, they'll just puncture and you end up losing all the juice. You can do it with a ragworm because they're a little bit more solid if you want to, but for blow lug, thoroughly recommend you use a baiting needle. Here's a standard 2-hook after 20 minutes in the sea, not popped up. That's what's left of a mackerel hook bait. And basically the worm completely gone as well. So yeah, shows the effectiveness. I know it's only one, but I'm absolutely sure all the non-popped up baits I've put out today have come back completely stripped, basically. And that other pop-up bait, the one that was popped up, was perfectly fine. So there's a trade-off between wanting your bait near the seabed, or whether you want it just off a couple of feet or so, where the pesky little crabs can't maybe get it so easily. It's what is it, 2 hours after low. Tide's pushing in hard. I'm gonna have to move up the bank now in probably about half an hour. Still lots of people and dogs and metal detectorists digging for Britain over there in front of me, but no fish. So but lovely sunny day. It was about 10 degrees when I got out of the car, so really nice. But frost when I left this morning at about 9:30, so that was had to scrape the windscreen. So again, here's a popped up bait that's been out pretty much untouched. That's on the fish bait and on the worm bait. Again, pretty much untouched. So certainly works in terms of keeping it off the deck. But either way, still no fish. Here's an anchovy bait that's been out for just over an hour. So it's like half an anchovy, absolutely stripped clean. But obviously they weren't too fussed about taking the skeleton. So yeah, even the big baits. I put a double squid out earlier, and I had about half of that left after an hour. So I thought, well, I'll put half an anchovy out, but that's completely gone. Anyway, moved up the bank now, hopefully at the high tide mark. It was a higher tide this morning, so hopefully I won't have to move again. And it's 3 hours after low, no fish, darkness coming. It's my first joker. See if we can catch something. I've used this joke before, but the best bite of the afternoon so far is the pot noodle equivalent. All is not lost. We have a monster whiting, all of about 8 inches, 7 inches maybe. Blank is beaten. Just taken on popped up mackerel. Well, there you go. Success all round. Well, it's amazing how you get a tiny little fish like that and it sort of re-energizes you. I put the bivvy up because there was a monumental rainstorm passed by. I think I just skirted the edge of it. I took a time lapse of the rainbow, but yeah, I didn't want to risk getting absolutely drenched. So we're 2 hours to high water, and then I'll probably fish on for about an hour of the ebb, and then make a move. There's one whiting. There's another whiting. Nice little double shot. I'll have to be honest, there was no real bite, but that whiting isn't a... Oop. He probably didn't want a face full of sand. He's not a bad whiting. About 10 inches, that one. Yeah. And that one is not 10 inches, might be 10 centimetres. Anyway, they were taken on a 2 clip rig. Mix of baits. But, well, there's a few fish here. It's good to see. Well, there's another double shot. There's a very small pout in. And a very small whiting. And for good measure, I had 2 little clams on the grip wires. Caught a couple of other little singles of whiting, so it's not quite one a chuck, but certainly quite busy here on the beach at Slapton. Oh, there's a better whiting, probably about 14 inches, maybe half a pound. Almighty tangle with the other rod, so gonna probably have a 20-minute job now to tidy all that one up, but still getting plenty of whiting, almost double figure whiting now, which is a nice busy session. 1 hour to high water. Well, there's plenty of whiting, so there's another double shot. That's quite a small one, but here's my best whiting for a long time. That's a lovely one. Again on the pop-up, double on the pop-up. But he must be a good 3/4 of a pound. I think I might take him home for breakfast, I think. There we go. A lovely whiting. So it's quite a productive session. Really enjoying it. Lots of bites. Well into double figure whiting now. Yeah, nice session. 1 more hour, I think. Here's my second species of shellfish tonight. A nice fat hermit crab. I was winding in and I think, oh, this was heavy. And then it sort of hit the beach and I thought I had something on. And I thought, oh, what was that? Just dropped off there. And there it is. Big fat hermit crab. I'm going to put him back in. He doesn't deserve to be bait this late in the day. Well, here's something I haven't seen for a while. Dogfish. Something a little bit different. Still getting some whiting, which is third species of the session. My first doggy for a while. Anyway, last casts are in, and high tide's been and gone. I'm going to do my outro. Got the last cast in the water. It's coming up for 9 o'clock. Tide has turned, so got a long drive back to Chepstow. It's about 125 miles, so 2.5 hours at least on the way back. Well, thanks for watching. Had a great session in the dark. Anyway, double figure whiting, up to about 3/4 of a pound, pouting, dogfish, and various shellfish. Really enjoyed it. Nice to catch fish, and actually got something for the table to take home. So I want to thank everybody who's been watching. Thanks to those who've been liking and subscribing. And as I say, I've got well, won't be able to go for the rest of the week, and I can't go next week. So it'll be towards the end of February now. I would have thought, before I can actually get out again. So for all you lovers out there, happy Valentine's Day, a couple of days time. Make sure you treat the missus okay, so that she still lets you go fishing, and vice versa if it's the wife that goes fishing. So take care, be safe, and yeah, Slapton, nice mark, nice clean ground, nice fish, relatively easy to fish, and certainly worth a visit again. Anyway, take care, best wishes, bye now, bye.